Hello, I'm Ren, and welcome to my channel. This is Grunge Granny, and today we are going to look at all of my onion skin notebooks, including the ones I filled in and the ones I haven't, and an unboxing. So stick around. Thank you. Alright, so I'll acknowledge it. Maybe I have a little bit of a problem. Let's check out my onion skin journal haul. First off, I wanted to show you unboxing. When you first get the onion skin journal, it'll come in this clear plastic sheet, which I have been keeping for junk journaling reasons. And I can probably make a video later on what are some things that I've been doing with that. Now I have a pretty big onion skin journal collection. I think this is kind of by circumstance, but I loved the first one so much, and I started dedicating them to different things. It's a brown paper package tied up with string, of course, because what's better than that? And you take off the string. I have been keeping all of my little stickers because I love them. And stickers are fantastic. I'm hoping that my audio comes out pretty good today, but we'll see. I also keep this paper because it's really nice craft paper. And then this is the onion skin journal in blue linen, which I love. It has the silver Ouroboros. It'll say the onion skin journal on it, and this is volume 1. I'm not really sure what volume 2 will be, but we will see. Now when you first open it, I put all my stickers right in here. It comes with a bookmark. It comes with a sheet that has the dot grid and the lines. And this is because the onion skin journal is made with onion skin paper, which has been called airmail paper, and it is hand bound or smith sewn by third generation bookbinders. And when you put this sheet behind it, you can see your dots or you can see your lines. I could not wait to try out the onion skin journal when I first found it, because I do a lot of art, and that is how come I wanted to make this video. I know a lot of other people have been making their videos and they tend to be journalers. And I am a journaler also, but I am not I don't just journal. When I journal, I want to have a whole bunch of mediums in it. I want to use inks and paints. Also, check it out. It has a little bookmark. I love bookmarks. And this one is in a silver gray. So this one is brand new. Have not used it yet. And I saved this unboxing partially because I wasn't sure if I was going to keep this one. And the reason I wasn't sure, it wasn't because I don't absolutely adore it, but because I do have 3 others and the Notepad. So we're gonna go into that. I thought about maybe gifting this one to somebody, but we're gonna see, because I am kind of a huge fan of mine, so I don't know if I will. Got my Notepad. My other one that I have not touched yet is the one with the map, which I think is absolutely beautiful. It's this dark green linen with a black bookmark. And like I said, I haven't used it yet, but I'm getting ideas. And this is the reason why I haven't used it yet. Let's go into the tan with the black Ouroboros and the gold bookmark. So this one was my absolute first one. And when I first got it, I was so excited about this paper. And I wanted it to have this look to it. My thought was that, do you know when you have those old books, or you see books in movies that have like a whole bunch of mystery to them and they look like they're kind of like a scientific journal? Well, I wanted this one to look like that. So, it's not that I have been, but my goal was, while in quarantine, to kind of cultivate some sense of mystery and excitement. And I wanted to pretend I was an alien from outer space who came to this country and was posing as a human, and that these are the things that I observed, and writing down what I observed with those things. And I also created my own little key for certain things in code. And I figured I would go ahead and flip through. I haven't finished it yet because this is going to be a long project, but I think when it's done, it will look pretty cool. So this one was Observation, the Midnight Crow and Daylight Seeking White and Yellow Flower Crow Poison. Anomaly, Orchid. This one, Octopoda. I wrote Directed Daffodil, I think. Oh, Dissected Daffodil. Yeah, I had a little mess up there, but that's okay. I feel like a science journal would have mess-ups occasionally. The yarrow leaf, because how strange is that little thing? Anomaly. A blend of bird and botanical on the stalk. These leaves with feathered tendrils, wings off a body, cannot will flight. I don't know if you know anything about yarrow, but the leaves of the yarrow plant look like little feathers, and that's why I wrote that. Inflorescence, in, within, inside, suggests something outer from the other. Then flor, the flower in Spanish, within that language, sense, a single unit or moment of play, a specific odor distinct to its being, reason and logic in alignment with the surrounding information. Not one flower, but one inflorescence. I love yarrow. And then I was going to do Ghost Pipe, which is a very interesting plant. I don't know if y'all know it. Followed by Daisy, which Daisy, if you know, means day's eye, so I was doing kind of a geometric sun with an eye sprouting into the daisy, leading into the sun. And I did at least put my little code here for my own little notes. And the next one was going to be a wasp, specifically a paper wasp with its little paper nest. I have an attachment to wasps, which we might get into at another time. I really like the way that this ink seeps through, not seeps through, but is seen through. I think it's called shadowing when that happens with paper. I didn't notice any bleeding, but I also did use this, and you can kind of tell that there are times where some of it did leave marks kind of through. Oops. But not too bad. And I don't think it's that it bled through. What I think might have happened is that I did a lot of the illustrations first. My ink probably hadn't dried before I flipped the page, and then would have written on the next one while that ink was still drying, and then it transferred over. So I don't think that it bled. I think it was just an actual transfer. The pens that I used were a dip pen. Well, I used a dip pen for a lot of it, and by a dip pen, I mean a pen kind of like this. Oop, let me get this one. Uh-oh. I don't want to break it because I have it attached to my wall. Okay. So I used a dip pen. I also used fountain pens. I used, what else did I use? I think that was it. I tried out some other things, like this was with a brush pen, the Micron Sakura brush pen, which I wasn't a fan of because I don't think it gave me as many details as I wanted. I liked the brush pen on parts like this, but then for parts like this, I went back to, honestly, just a Muji ballpoint, because I liked the control and the accuracy. I also used the dip pen for these parts, for this, and for this orchid, and the bird and the flower. I liked using the dip pen for these things because I feel like the kind of organic shapes of the, what's that called? I guess like the scribbly sclabblies, you know, of the orchid, that it helped kind of hold that there. You can tell I kind of messed up because sometimes I go out at night on my porch and I'll write these things down, and I used a dark blue, the indigo Muji pen for writing these, and I didn't realize it was blue until after the fact, but I still thought it was pretty. I don't feel like it takes away from it. I did want it in all black, but that's okay. yeah, so this is my tan onion skin notebook. Now the next one we're going to go to is my white and gold one. So this one originally was kind of my mood tracker, and it kind of switched from my mood tracker to being more of a personal journal, but with art. Like an art, not like an art journal, but like an art diary, I guess, where I was drawing things that I needed to focus on, or my mood, or things that I wanted to like bring my own attention back to. Originally it was going to be more precious and kind of like the tan one, and then I just decided against it. So the first thing I did in here was watercolor, and I included these little bits of tracing paper because I wanted to write on my pictures to talk about it, but I did not do it. So I did this one out of watercolor. It was the Koi watercolors, and you can see there's no bleeding through at all. It actually held a lot of water, and if we look closely at some parts, it didn't even really pill. That's pretty cool. This one was Prismacolor and some pen, and I liked, I just really liked that it kind of blended pretty well. And this was a picture I drew to try and make me appreciate my nose. And then I did it again in oil pastel, which is the other reason why I have this sheet here, is because I didn't want to be drawing on the other side and then have it transfer onto this side. But for oil pastel, I thought it stayed pretty well. I am going to cover this next one, because I'm embarrassed with that one, and I don't know, it's more personal, I suppose. So this one, again, worked just fine. This paper is kind of smooth for oil pastel, but I thought that that was actually really cool because it meant that these contrasting parts, these colors, blended in a way that I hadn't seen on my other sketchbooks or papers. It also, for those ones, I was using the Mungyo gallery, the professional gallery series pastels. I did this one out of pastel as well. This one I wasn't super proud of. I was learning more about blending and how things will blend on this paper specifically. So again, not super proud of it, but I did like the way it blended on this paper. I did another one this is a contrasty one. I couldn't decide if I was liking pastels more or watercolor, so I did a split picture using both. I thought it was neat, color matching as well, trying to color match with different mediums, with one that I'm more familiar with and one that I'm not, and seeing how I would do that in different mediums. But I think it turned out okay. Then we get to some of my more favorite ones. This one was just a watercolor wash, but if you can tell, there's a lot of watercolor on this sheet. There was a lot of watercolor. I used Prismacolor watercolor pencils, my Koi watercolor set, and then I topped it off with, if you can tell, some acrylographs on all these little dots and details. That's what those are. I think it helped add some accents and have things pop. I did this one the same way. You can kind of see the Prismacolor watercolor pencil, and then I went over with regular Prismacolor pencils and watercolor and acrylograph. And again, you can tell that there was no pilling of the paper. It didn't come apart, and it also didn't bleed through. There were some times where I had to stop, where it started to get a little sensitive right there, but it did not actually tear the paper. This was a practice in perspective, which is obviously a practice. More playing around with pastels, trying to just loosen up my arm. Then I started just doing some doodles, trying to kind of get my hand going. Those ones are with a fountain pen. I did these with a TWSBI Diamond 580. And I think I did this one with also the same TWSBI Diamond 580. This was another little doodle. I was trying to just do as many little details as I could, which I think turned out pretty cool. And then I wrote down a quote from Cindy Balto. I don't know how to say her last name, but she's a YouTuber and I really love all of her videos. But I was watching her video as I did this, and she says self-care is being precious with the life I have, and not necessarily that self-care is doing anything out of the ordinary. It's kind of like setting up the things that you need to set up so that you are treating your current life as precious, such as like resting or waking up early if you know you need that, or taking showers and eating properly or drinking enough water, all that stuff. But it was really helpful and I needed to hear it. This one, I probably used more paint than usual, and you can kind of tell in the texture of it. This one has a lot more texture to it. This was a picture I did of my little brother for his birthday, and it's just watercolor and acrylograph. I also used the Faber-Castell Aquarelle pencils. They're these not waterproof, here they are, water-soluble graphite. They look like this, the Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarelle. And afterward, I just wanted to really heighten the shadows, and of course I just can't stay away from color, so I ended up going ahead and coloring it in. Tried to do a pastel iris, some more doodles, a print that I did, and I wanted to know how this would hold up with regular printing ink, which I think pretty perfect, absolutely no problems. I was working on some daffodils, and now we're going to get to the more unfinished ones. I haven't gone back to this one, but I did want to go back with pastel again with this one. Another doodle. I wrote in here, kind of as a personal journal. Did a little picture for my birthday. I wrote me in my birthday frump, and good old 32. And then I wrote down everything that I got so that I could remember. And then this one is a little bit of a kind of automatic writing. I was having an issue and needed to talk to somebody as I journaled, a little sketch ideas. This one was Prismacolor and some Jelly Roll pens and then acrylograph. So the gold is the Jelly Roll, the green is the Jelly Roll, and some acrylograph. After I did it in Prismacolor. I thought it turned out pretty cute though. And then I had some more doodles, and so it's just turning into my kind of scrappy sketchbook, which I like. I thought this one was neat because I just want to end up layering a bunch of pen on it, which is why I didn't care so much about the picture itself, but I will be seeing how that's going to hold up later. And it started to get a little rough with all the pen layering. The reason I did that was because when I started doing, I think it was this one ended up being more of a pen practice, just to see if I could do a bunch of straight lines and trying to make myself do straight lines of different designs and shapes. But it kind of started to bleed a little bit here. You can see with these little hives, and then it started to, I think, get a little loose in some spots around here. So I think what that showed me was that even though I can do a ton of watercolor, using a fountain pen too much to draw or layer will probably bleed. And here I have a little bit of a stamp, which of course is that's not even an issue for this paper. One thing that I do think is kind of cool is that it will, if I push down hard, not hard, but decently, it will kind of transfer the image. But I think it ends up adding texture to that next picture, which I think is cool. So now we have the tan and the white one that was done. And the final thing is just a little bit of a pen test I did with my Notepad. I wanted the Notepad because I want to be able to draw pictures and layer them over each other. I think that would be cool. And so I did a little swatch to show that this is the Muji 0.5 pen, the Sharpie pen, the Papermate Inkjoy, a Pentel sign pen, a mild liner brush, TWSBI Diamond 580, the acrylograph, and watercolor. And wanted to show how much that is visible or not visible. And that shows you right there. And you can even read it because it is definitely legible, but it is not going to bleed through. I think you can tell even on this though, that the only time it would have started to be a concern is maybe with this TWSBI Diamond 580, right there where it starts to get a little heavy. I think that is it for my junk journal haul. Or not junk journal haul, oh my gosh. I've junk journaling on the brain. And I was thinking about junk journaling because I kind of want to try and maybe do something with this that's travel-y themed and make it with more collages. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I thought about too, maybe like creating different countries or making up little stories to go in it that have to do with different countries. I really like having entire books or sketchbooks themed. And so I might do something like that with this one. If you have any ideas, let me know. I'd appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed this video.